Right, so let's go to our last little point here, which is ambiance.
Yes.
Ambient audio.
So why does ambient sound matter in your game? This is a reprint from an older article, but it is indeed still important.
Oh my gosh, yes.
What is ambient sound, Teal?
It's the sound it's everything orally that's occurring around you. All of it. Like the wind and rain.
Yes. It is ambient means everywhere.
Yeah.
And
everywhere.
apparently we got the name right for our newest follower. Congratulations.
Yay!
Okay, so ambient means everywhere. Omnipresent sound.
Mm-hmm.
When you have an ambient sound, it appears to be coming from all directions. It does not mean a sound that is prevalent in every part of your level.
No.
You can change your ambient sound, but your ambient sound is whenever you're in that area where that ambient sound is, you hear it regardless of what direction you're facing or where your character is. A good example would be if your character goes into a canyon and you have a certain wind effect.
Yeah.
That is an ambient sound within that canyon.
Right.
Then when they exit the canyon, you could either change the wind effect or you could change its pitch, its tone, its modulation, etc. You can use that through volumes. Any 3D game engine should have that. And it's going to sound different, but it's still the ambient sound.
Right. You know, another example is if you're in a swamp and you're hearing the cicadas.
The cicadas, yes. And so whenever you're designing your level, don't forget about the ambient sound. Now, here's the reason why it's important. Why is ambience, I'm saying ambient, why is ambience important? I'm asking you guys that, I'm asking Teal that, and I'm asking the rhetorical universe that. Why is ambience important? It says so right here, but I'm going to read it without looking at it. Ambience is everything else that is around you.
Yeah.
You don't have to see the ambience. It's the mood. It's the aural mood of your level.
Yeah.
So when you are in that, yeah, it makes you feel something. And welcome. Good to see you again, Black Rose. It makes you feel something.
Yes.
So again, going to that swamp thing. I love that swamp thing. Hearing that sound of cicadas is that it just gives you that emotion.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to even have to be. Let's go with the Japanese forest, like in When They Cry, creepy ass anime. But whenever the cicadas would, you know, be around and you'd hear them right as the sun would start to set, you'd have that feeling of the day is ending, the night is beginning. It's that feeling of, you know, transition.
Yeah.
And that is an ambience. That's an ambience. Ambience, one of them words.
And honestly, it's all, ambience is all part of delivering the immersion.
Yeah.
This really good experience to your player.
They mention here the sound of distant sirens in a large urban setting.
Yeah.
You know, here's a good one, and this is, Teal and I have felt this, trains in the distance.
Yes, trains.
Or planes in the distance. So people are saying how not to do ambient sound. Yeah, whatever you don't want to do is this. Don't just turn on some sort of sound effect and leave it. That's not good ambience.
No.
You want the ambience to be indicative of the area that we're in. Take it into the, you know, to a sound editor like Audacity or SoundForge or whatever, and change it so that it is indicative of the physical environment. Again, wind's going to sound different in a plane than it is in a forest. An approaching storm where they have that thunder crashing in the background.
And JD also says use attenuation and fall off.
Yes.
Based on distance.
God, yes. Yes.
You know, that's all part of it. You need to have realistic sound. Yeah.
And BG is right. You can buy them probably really cheap because ambient sounds are relatively inexpensive, but you still don't want to slap a sucker into your level, turn up the volume, and call it a day. You want to treat it like you would treat everything else. It's the mood setter.
It is.
Like Black Rose Dragon said, it makes you feel something. So bring it down to that level that is right there in the emotion of it. What's the emotion of your level? What's the emotion of the area the player's going to be exploring or experiencing? And have that ambient sound be the aural backdrop.
But a good example of this is if all you guys who play Phasmophobia, you walk into those haunted houses and that atmosphere,
Yes.
that ambient sound, that is what gets you.
It's a tone that the creators of the game made that specifically triggers feelings of unease.
Yeah.
And then once you're outside and you're walking around the outside, it sounds like a normal night.
It does.
So
they did a really, really good job.
They did a really good job. We always bring up Phasmophobia because it actually does a lot of things right, despite being an early access game. JD says, yes, mix it in your audio buses. It shouldn't overpower other audio. Yes. Ambient audio should not overpower any other audio. Absolutely. It is the mood setter. It's the backdrop. It is in the background. Hashtag aural backdrop. And that's how you want to treat it. So it's its own actor, but it complements all the other audio actors in your level. Yes. And by the way, guys, if you're working in a 2D engine, you can do this as well. Don't think that just because you're working in a 2D engine, you can't use sound design properly. You just want to think on a 2D plane. You could have objects creating different audio with attenuation. Yes. That is a wonderful thing. Learn attenuation. You can have an ambient sound that as you move about your level rises and falls using either events or code or whatnot. You know, use the tools at your disposal to make your level sound good. Yeah. Even if it's a 2D game, regardless of the engine that it's in.
Yeah, there was a game I played recently, a 2D game. I believe it was an RPG Maker game, where the person had the sound of the clock ticking.
Yeah.
And you moved away from the grandfather clock, and so the ticking faded.
Yep. That's attenuation.
Yeah. And I just thought that was so neat to see that in a 2D game. Most people would just have the ticking clock, and then it would just disappear.
Yes.
This person actually took the time to make it fall off.
So JD put out a little formula here saying UI, most priority, gameplay second, the rest is third. And by UI, he doesn't mean like the user interfaces in the HUD. He means everything the user interfaces with, that part of the UX.
Yes.
Yes, that is absolutely. The game world that the user experiences should be your highest level of priority in development. And we have seen time and time again people not doing that. Yeah. I guarantee you the majority of the people in the Hawktober Game Jam aren't going to have that. All they have is the gameplay. Yeah. Gameplay means nothing if the user doesn't feel something. And what they feel something with is the sound that drives the brain, the visuals that give them texture to the world, and that general feel. So you can have a game, we've said this before. Yeah. You can have a game with mediocre gameplay, and if the UX is really high, it's going to be insanely popular.
People will play it. They will play it and like it.
People play games for experiences. Even if they say they play games for stories, even if they say they play games for the gameplay, what they want is they want to experience something. So if you can use audio, interactive sound, ambient sounds, etc., in order to bring your player into your game world, you've already conquered a massive obstacle that most starting game developers haven't.
Yeah, Burke points out that the gameplay is your loop. The UI, the UX, the art, and all the rest of it is how you make them not realize that they are in a loop.
Absolute genius from every single one of you. That is absolutely true. Yeah. And it's hard for the beginning developers to realize that, because they're constantly thinking, I've got to get this gameplay down. I've got to get this shtick down. My character can draw magic from the environment, and that's the cool thing. My characters all attack in tandem, and that's the cool thing. I've got a award-winning writer writing my story. I've got the best artist ever doing my artwork, and that's not bad.
No, but if it's a good starting point.
Player's not feeling it.
Yeah.
Your UX has to make the player forget they're playing a game. You don't want to overuse the same SEs, like what BG says.
You don't want to overdo it. Yeah.
No, don't.
Because you can. Yes. Oh, yeah.
100%. Change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like JD says, modulation. Audacity is free. There's a lot of good sound designers out there. They don't cost much. Pull in a WAV file, pull in an SE, a sound effect.
Yeah.
And play around with it for like a good 30 minutes. Just test everything. See what it sounds like when you put it through different whatevers. I mean, make a copy of it if you're afraid you're going to lose that SE. You may lose 30 minutes of time, but you're going to gain a wealth of knowledge that's going to make your audio so much better. Play.
Well, yeah, you can always hire a professional BG, but yeah, that does get expensive.
Well, I do want to say this, okay? Yes, you can and I know BG's just kidding because BG's a good guy, but why would you want to throw, especially you starting game devs, you know, I don't like using the term amateur, so we'll just say starting game devs. It's really good for you to get down in there and you get your hands dirty. Because if you can't understand how the sound is made and how you can make the sound like what you want it to sound like, there's a mouthful.
There you go.
Then how are you going to be able to explain that to your audio engineer? If you can't get around in a DAW and just make some dorky ass music that's going to sound terrible and you're never going to share with anyone, how are you going to know what sound you want your composer to make? Same thing with artwork. You know, get into Photoshop, screw around. Make something that looks stupid. Make something that looks really stupid, but get an idea how it works.
Yeah, I played around on Audacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. You did to extend some tracks.
I did.
Yeah.
I turned a 4-minute track into a 30-minute one.
There you go. Exactly. Try basically, guys, with everything, not just with audio. Play around with it, get an idea of what it listens to like, what it sounds like, what it looks like, what it feels like. Then you can explain it to people who are better and do it professionally, and they'll have an idea of what you want.